All right, well, it's good to be here. This is a picture we just took this Saturday, actually. My fourth daughter, Kate, will kill me. The one has her eyes closed. Everything else is perfect about it, except for her eyes are closed. So we thought, well, we'll just keep this one for now. Anyway, 6 girls and 3 boys. For me, I'm passionate about the idea that there's nothing more important than what moms learn and what moms teach their children. To me, that's how the world goes around. I found a good wife to marry, an incredible woman who's a great mom and teaches my children. I think that's what you guys do. I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to educate you. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to ask a little survey question. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's being Constitution Day, and I like the Constitution. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank? If you're on a 9 or 10 in terms of loving the Constitution, having deep feelings about the Constitution, raise your hand. Okay? All right. I thought that'd be the case. Now, the same question, a little bit different. On a scale of 1 to 10, how many of you feel like you know and can cite and reference and memorize the Constitution? Are you up there in the 9s and 10s? 7 or 8s? 5 or 6s, okay? That's what I found as I've gone. So you get attached to Kimberly Fletcher and you find yourself all over the nation. Okay, so I've taught a few places because of her. I just follow wherever she tells me to go. Where are we going next? And that's what I find is people feel strongly about the Constitution, but when they're honest with themselves, they feel like, I don't know enough about it. And so it's hard to feel strongly about something and not know what it really says. And so we're going to jump into it. This is a practical presentation. I'm here to educate you, not to motivate you, okay? And hopefully the education will give you that inspiration. What I've done, I've got a presentation, it's called The 5 Clauses Everyone Should Know, and I've done a Constitution Bee where we did a national contest, and you're able to give around $10,000 out to kids to get them excited about the Constitution. And I've got 5 clauses that are most important, and I go over them. The Supremacy Clause, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the Necessary and Proper Clause today. What I want to do is give you a peek into how I view the Constitution and why I think it's so important to get to the original document and to find out what the original intent is of the founders. And not just say we should love the Constitution and learn it. Well, let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's learn it, okay? Supremacy Clause is found in Article 6, Clause 2. And if you pull out your handy-dandy Constitution, in mine, it's the bottom of page 15 and the top of page 16. There it is, okay? It's highlighted. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, shall be the supreme law of the land. You notice what I've done here? We've skipped a little bit of ellipses here. Does this red thing work? It does. This is the treaty law clause, so don't be worried. We'll get to that later if we were to do this whole presentation, right? So this is the supremacy clause, and what I've done is just taken the words and stuck them on a slide so we can see them better. This is the exact same thing, okay? The Constitution and laws of the United States that shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the supreme law of the land. What I like to do is dissect this, okay, and look at it a little bit. First of all, why is it called the supremacy clause? Because it has the word supreme, and it talks about it being supreme, okay? So what does the word supreme mean? Supreme or supremacy, in short words, in the way I see it, so therefore is the right way, is a single definition. Supremacy means the highest level of power or authority. Okay? Can we all agree with that? That's what supreme means. It's the highest level. So, when we go back to the words, we're going to take this word supreme and we're going to stick in the word highest. The Constitution, this Constitution, and the laws of the United States that shall be made in pursuance thereof shall be the highest law of the land. Has that changed the meaning of it? No, it's just giving an explanation of what those words are, okay? You'll notice a couple things when we start to blank out some of it and dark out some of it. There's 2 things in the Supremacy Clause that are supreme according to the Constitution. The Constitution shall be the highest law of the land, okay? Secondly, the laws of the United States shall be the highest law of the land. Let me point out real quickly when it says the laws of the United States, those are what are also termed as federal laws, okay? The United States, these United States, the laws that apply to the whole United States are federal laws, okay? So it's saying the laws of the United States or federal laws are the highest law of the land as well. So pretty clear, pretty simple language. There's some parts here that are grayed out though, and we want to look at those grayed out parts. Which shall be made in pursuance thereof. This is some clarifying language, and actually is also what's called a condition, okay? The laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof. That's the condition of the second term, the laws of the United States. So what's a condition? A condition is a requirement that must be met first. You have to do this thing in order to do this thing. If you want to drive, you have to have a driver's license, right? We deal with conditions every day of our lives. If you want this, you have to do this. A requirement that must be met first. So in this case, there's a conditional clause on the second part, which is the laws of the United States. And there's your condition, okay? Now, we're going to flip that on a hoop on its edge, and we'll do a little analogy to show you. And forgive the picture of this buff bodybuilder. I couldn't find a better one. Well, Me in my younger years. No. So this is a skinny little guy, okay? If he wants to become a buff bodybuilder and grow his muscles, what's the condition? What's the hoop he has to jump through? What's he have to do? He has to exercise. He has to lift weights, right? He has to do that. If he says, that makes me too hot and that's really tiring, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to skip the whole lifting weights thing and I'm just going to become buff without doing that. Can he do so? There's no way. There's no way he can do so. Okay? So if he wants to do so, he has to go through this condition of lifting weights. Clear enough? Make sense? Tie this back into the Constitution. Let's look at the same idea. We're going to take this hoop and we're going to keep it around our condition. And what it says is the laws of the United States, in other words, the federal laws, have to be made in pursuance thereof in order to become the supreme law of the land. Well, what's this wording here? Made in pursuance thereof. Let's look at pursuance. The root word to pursuance is pursue, right? And what's pursuing? In the simplest terms, in my mind at least, it means to follow. Okay? So we're going to take it back and we're going to throw pursuance and we're going to change it into the word to follow. This Constitution, the laws of the United States shall be made to follow thereof. To follow them. That's kind of some weird language. What's thereof? Thereof's an adverb. So let's just throw in the word it and see if it makes a little more sense. This Constitution and the laws of the United States that shall be made to follow it, follow what? The Constitution. This is really simple stuff. It's the English language. The Constitution is written for us to understand. When you read it and look at it, we can then say, hey, I don't need a lawyer to interpret this. I can read it. I've got it, okay? So it is referring to the Constitution, okay? So we're going to throw in the word Constitution. This Constitution and the laws of the United States that shall be made to follow the Constitution shall be the supreme law of the land. That makes sense? Does that ring true? That the federal laws have to follow the Constitution? There's kind of a little rule in there that makes them supreme. It's not just because in and of themselves as federal laws, they're therefore supreme. No, they have to follow the Constitution. Okay? So, number 2 here, the laws of the United States shall be made to follow the Constitution shall be the highest law of the land. Clear? All right. So, if we look at it again, the laws of the United States, those federal laws, if they want to become the supreme law of the land, what's the hoop they have to jump through? What do they have to do? Follow the Constitution. Very well done. Okay? That's exactly. See how simple that is? Straightforward. And the reason we know that isn't because of a sleight of hand or I went to 5 years of law school so you can trust me, or I have an MBA. It's because it says it in English in Article 6, Clause 2. You read it. Okay? If these laws of the United States say, I don't want to do that, that's really restrictive. I want to do this. I want to govern health care, and I want to put in this whole Medicare policy, etc. And they say, I don't want to go through the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't let me do that. I want to be a little more liberal here and have a little more fun with my powers, right? I'm in Congress. I should be able to do what I want to do. If they want to go around the Constitution, can it become the supreme law of the land? Logic itself says no. But not only logic fights against that, Article 6, Clause 2 of the Constitution says no, that cannot happen. That's what it says. Okay? So it can't become. It has to go through the Constitution. All right? And what does it mean to follow the Constitution? Because that's somewhat of an interpretable phrase, right, up to interpretation. Well, what it means is you can point to it in the Constitution. You can say, I know this says in the Constitution I'm allowed to because I can point to it. It says it right here, okay? Here's my son's finger pointing to the Constitution. Here's a hypothetical law. 1-3-892, all people living in the United States of America shall live in red houses. Is that a constitutional law? Why not? It offends your morals, it offends your conscience, there's no question, but why is it not constitutional? Because you can't point to anywhere in the Constitution where it enables the Congress to write a law to tell you where you can live, what color of house you can live in. And we know, parenthetically, from the 10th Amendment, that the right to decide which house you live in, what color you live in, what color of house you live in, is reserved to who? The people. I get to decide which house I live in, what color of house I live in, right? Okay? That's why it's not constitutional. Federal law, this hypothetical again, 7-9-086. All state highway patrolmen in any state in the United States of America shall only be allowed to drive motorcycles. Is that a constitutional law? I'm here to tell you it's not. Because you look in the Constitution, there's nowhere where it says that the federal government gets to choose what type of vehicles the state governments drive. Who's that right reserved to? The states. They get to decide. We want to do a patrol car, they can do whatever they want to do. It's the state's choice. Here's the last hypothetical law. Federal law, 1-2-345. The United States hereby forms a navy for the defense of our nation. Is that a constitutional law? It is. And the right answer, the reason it is because you can point to it in the Constitution. In Article 1, Section 8, Clause 13, it says, Congress shall have power to provide and maintain a navy. Make sense? A federal law that is the supreme law of the land, that was made because it pursues the Constitution. Specifically, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 13. Any questions about that? So my premise, my belief is that the answers are in the Constitution. When you read it and when you understand it and open it up and look at it as if it's a document that you really can understand and really can know and have deep feelings about, I think those deep feelings will deepen when you have the knowledge and you don't just feel it in your heart, but you see it you can see it in your mind, in your brain. You can intellectualize it and make sense of it as well. The Constitution is a beautiful document. It was not written for the elite. It was written for the common people to understand and apply, okay? To be able to read and know themselves, okay? So here it is. Here's my boy's finger again. To provide and maintain a navy. You can point to the Constitution. So like I said before, I have a whole series that I do. This is just the 5-minute version of a bigger version, maybe like 2-hour version. That's the supremacy clause, I think. Are we on next? Yeah, that's the supremacy clause. There's more to it, but that's a little microcosm of it. Secondly, we're going to talk about the necessary and proper clause, because I think this is a beautiful clause as well. When you look at it, it starts to say, man, I not only feel good about the Constitution, I know it's true because I can read it and I know what it's saying, okay? This is found in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18. That's where the necessary and proper clause is. You pull out your handy-dandy Constitution, and Section 8, Clause 1 starts there. This is a precursor to all the other clauses. Congress shall have power to, and that lists to do all these things. In 18, it says, to make all laws that shall be necessary and proper. Okay, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, the necessary and proper clause is Congress shall have power to make all laws that shall be necessary and proper. Okay? Here it is up on the screen. And this is highly debated because when it says right there, I'm the advocate of the words themselves, right? The Congress shall have power to make all laws that shall be necessary and proper. Then the question is, well, who decides it's necessary and proper? And Congress says, me. And we say, shoot. We kind of have to leave it to their judgment because it says right there, Congress is the one who gets to do it. That's their job. It says it in black and white. We can't fight it. Unless you keep reading the next 7 words. You want to do that? Should we read the next 7 words? Because we don't feel comfortable with Congress is doing whatever they want to do. Okay, Congress shall have power to make all laws that shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers. Oh, there's a condition there again, isn't it? Okay, there's a condition that it makes that the power that Congress has, they only get to do certain things, which is to carry into execution the foregoing powers. Let's look at this. Let's look at this in a map here. Remember Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, to make all laws that shall be necessary and proper. Then we read the next 7 words. It says, for carrying into execution the foregoing powers. What does the word foregoing mean? The ones that just happened, right? The just listed ones, okay? So we're going to say foregoing powers are pretty important, and this is what I recommend everyone. Bring your Constitution, write your notes, circle it, write all the definitions. They're right there, just like marking scriptures or books, annotating books, right? You have to remember what's going on. So the foregoing powers, we're just going to go ahead and go on a limb and say that means the ones that are just listed, okay? They have power to make all laws that shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers. The just listed one, which ones? Those ones in Article 1, Section 8, where the powers of Congress are listed. That's the ones they get to make laws about. And that's the restriction, that's the conditional behind for carrying into execution, for carrying into execution the foregoing powers. It has to be related to these things. So let me give you an example. Here they are listed out so we can see them a little bit better. Here's your general welfare powers, and I talked about the general welfare clause, which is an abuse. That's another presentation, and the common defense powers. But notice in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5, it says Congress has the power to coin money. Does Congress have the power to coin money? How do you know that? Because it says it in the Constitution, okay? That's very good. All right. The question becomes, can Congress... First of all, this is a coining machine. This is how you coin money, right? It's enumerated, which means numbered. It's saying Latin root is numbered. Numbered or listed power. Can they coin money? Yes, it says it in the Constitution. Now the question is, can they build a mint? Because I'm telling you, nowhere in the Constitution does it ever mention anything about building a mint. And when we talk about the Constitution, which is a limiting document, it's not an enabling document, it's a limiting document. It's enabling people's power. It's limiting government's power, okay? Can they build a mint? The question becomes, well, it depends if it's necessary and proper in order to carry out one of the foregoing powers. One of the foregoing powers is to coin money. Is building a mint necessary and proper in order to coin money? Yes. And therefore, is it a proper role of the federal government to run a mint? It is. It's a necessary and proper role, but only, not because it's a good idea, because, no, it's because it complies with the words that say, for carrying into execution the foregoing power. Which foregoing power? Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5, that one right there. Okay? These are called enumerated listed powers. There's also what's called an implied power or an indirect power. And people nowadays like to call the necessary and proper clause the elastic clause because it can stretch. And it can stretch, but only so far, only within the confines of bringing to pass or carrying into execution the foregoing listed power in Article 1, Section 8 that precede Clause 18. Make sense? Yeah, I thought that was it. Okay. I know that the Constitution is true and holds correct principles. I know the answers to our governmental issues are found in the Constitution, not in the newest and greatest fad, but in the document itself. And I know there's power in the document. When we start to read it and look at it with an intent to know it, there are resources that help us know that and understand it. And once we know it, how we feel about it is even greater. And it's not looking back to say, yeah, but I don't know anything about it. You confidently say, I know because I feel, and I feel because I know. And the Constitution is a powerful, God-inspired document. When we empower ourselves as moms to learn the truth and to share it with our kids, there's no end to the good we can do in the world. Thank you.